we use what is called the Dawes Roll.
Okay.
And the Dawes Roll was established by the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And that was taken between 1899 and 1906 in what is now northeastern Oklahoma.
Okay.
And that was taken for the people who came over on the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
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 And they were able to sign that if they met the eligibility requirements back then.
Okay.
So if they were here and they met those eligibility requirements, they could sign up on there and get a roll number. Now, if we can trace a lineal ancestor back to the Dawes Roll, then you would be eligible to apply with the Cherokee Nation.
Okay, and when was that?
Or one of the other 5 civilized tribes or whatever that might have come over on the Trail of Tears.
Oh, okay, I get that. So when was that Dawes Roll taken again? In
1899 through
1899.
1906.
Okay. So I could trace my family here in the Americas way before 1806, but
we don't need to go back that far. I said 1899 to 1906.
So what happened
We're talking about 7 years.
Okay, so what happened?
We're looking at a 7-year time window.
So what I'm asking is, what happened to those of us who didn't partake in the Dawes Roll period?
Okay, then you would not be eligible. You
wouldn't be eligible, even if I'm American Indian.
Right. You had to sign up. Your ancestor would have had to sign up on the Dawes Roll. Okay. That's what happened way back then, and there's nothing we can do about it now. That's what happened back then, and that's what, they had the freedom to choose if they wanted to sign those rolls back then. Some people did and some people did not, but they weren't forced to sign them. They could choose to go on their way and not be a part of the Cherokee Nation, and they could do what, live and be where they wanted to be.
Okay. All right. That's true. I get that from your perspective, but and again, I just need clarification. So I really appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to share some of that information to me. So my next question is, are you aware or do you know that the Aboriginal people of all the Americas were dark-skinned people?
Can I transfer you to someone else that knows a lot more about this than I do?
Okay, yeah, okay.
I just answer the phones. Just a moment.
All right, thank you. All right. And I was asking, how do you become a part of the Cherokee Nation? So is there any way you could give me some information on that?
Sure. The process for enrollment with the Cherokee Nation requires an ancestor on the Dawes Commission roll, and that roll was made in 1902 in Indian Territory, now Oklahoma.
Okay.
And if you don't have an ancestor on that roll, regardless of how much Indian blood you may have, you are not eligible to enroll.
Okay. So, all right. So, I mean, what you just told me is straightforward. So I guess my next question, it kind of, makes it a little bit obscure because my family, they didn't participate in the Dawes Rolls. However, we have been in America from time immemorial. We've always been here. So that means I wouldn't be able to even submit an application and be accepted, correct? Because it's not done through blood. It's done through, so it's done through an organization and not through blood, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, our tribe is, and we have a constitution that we adopted in 1976 and then amended in 2003. And in that constitution, the Cherokee people who were organized at that time chose the Dawes Roll as the sole source of proof for our organization.
Oh, okay. So with that being said, is it safe to say that even if someone wasn't an Indian by blood, okay, meaning that their ancestors have always been in the America, as long as they were able to get on that Dawes Rolls, they are still considered Indian?
Well, they're considered a citizen.
Or they considered a citizen?
Right. The relationship between the United States and the Cherokee Nation is not based on blood. It's based on treaties.
Okay.
So if someone's ancestors were members of the tribe at one time, but for whatever reasons they may have chosen to leave the tribe or forced out of the tribe or abandon the tribe, there's lots of scenarios. The tribe itself would have continued on.
So my next question would be, I'm actually, if someone were to see me in the streets without my, my indigenous attire, because, I wear my feathers and my regalia, every single day. Now, if I were to walk, in the streets without that, somebody would assume I'm black because of my complexion. So, you know where I'm going with this. Do you have any people who fit that description that's actually part of your nation?
Yes. We have, as I mentioned, the descendants of our slaves. They are now members of the tribe.
Oh, and they're descendants of slaves.
Right. They are descendants of slaves. Now, some of them do have Indian blood because the slave masters, creeping in the slave house and producing children.
Right.
But those children were not recognized by any legal marriage.
Okay.
And so their descendants are not enrolled as Indians. They are enrolled as freedmen.
In the Americas, all over the Americas, I mean, we know that the United States was established on the American continent in 1776, correct?
Well, yes.
Okay. So before 1776, there was no such thing as the United States. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, beautiful. So before that, even before the 13 colonies and all that, even before the so-called transatlantic slave trade, are you aware that all the people on the American continent were dark-skinned?
Well, I know where you're going with that, and that's the Afrocentrism argument, and we don't subscribe to that.
Well, it's not a matter of subscription. It's a matter of, do you know that it's a fact that the Aborigines of this land were dark-skinned? So therefore, if all the Aborigines of this land, and it's scientifically proven that they were dark-skinned, how is that other people get to claim to be Indians, and then we can't because we didn't take part in the Dawes Rolls?
Well, the Dawes Roll was selected by the Cherokee people, who were the people who owned the Cherokee Nation.
Oh,
we are the Cherokee Nation. And
so is the same thing. So all right. So what is the original name for Cherokee?
You mean in our language?
No, it was Anianwea, right?
Well, that's the word for principal people.
Yeah, the principal people. So what I'm saying is, Anianwea was changed to Cherokee. Is there a reason why you guys don't use Anianwea and now use Cherokee?
We do use that word among ourselves.
Okay.
In our relationship with the United States, the United States knows us as Cherokee, and so that's what the treaties say. So we go by what the treaties say when we're in dealing with them. Oh,
okay. So the United States pretty much decided to say, okay, you know what, we're not going to use Anianwea, let's just create something new, and then we created Cherokee. In essence.
Well, that word has also a Cherokee origin, but it's the word Cherokee is an anglicized version of the Cherokee word Ajilaki, which means people of fire.
Right.
And so, we don't mind being called Cherokees. We've been called that for 500 years, so we don't have a problem with that.
I've done some research, and I realized that, your chief, it's John Bill something, right?
Bill John Baker.
Baker, yeah. So I realized, I found out that he has a 132 Cherokee.
He's actually 332nds, but that's neither here nor there. He's still pretty much a white man.
Yeah, and I did a lot of research and realized that his ancestors is actually from Ireland and German and everything, but yet still he gets to be a Cherokee. And so how is that even possible?
Well, it's possible because his ancestors were citizens of the Cherokee Nation.
Oh.
Citizenship does not divide.
Oh,
it passed 100% from parent to child. And so his ancestors, who actually were Indians, I'm related to him distantly, but his ancestors were Cherokee Indians at the time of discovery. His ancestors were citizens of the Cherokee Nation at the time of the first making of the Treaty of 1783. And so they've been citizens of the Cherokee Nation ever since.
You know what I mean? It's semantics. You know what I mean? Because again, he looks white, but he may not be white European or Anglo-Saxon, but he's a white man.
I would say so.
Exactly.
I mean, if I saw him walking down the street, I would say, there goes a white man.
There you go. However,
our tribe is not necessarily made up of just brown or dark-skinned people.
Okay.
The Cherokee Nation is made up of citizens.
Yeah, and I get that. I totally get that, and I respect that. So again, so I guess all the Aboriginals, because would you guys consider yourself Aborigines?
I would consider us to be Aboriginals, and our government is an Aboriginal government.
Oh, okay, so again, and once again, and it's not even Afrocentric, because do you believe that? First of all, do you believe that life originated in Africa?
Life or
life,
or
period. All human life.
No.
You don't believe that?
No, I do not.
Okay, it's great, perfect. So if life didn't originate in Africa, how is it assumed that all dark-skinned people are from Africa? When the sun shines all over the world and the equator actually runs between, the continent of Africa and the Americas, and everybody in South America was dark-skinned. So how is it assumed that every dark-skinned person is African?
I don't assume that.
No, I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about in terms of, because you said, when I mentioned that all the dark-skinned people in the Americas were dark-skinned, you said that's Pan-Africanism. But again, we are agreeing that life didn't originate in Africa and all dark-skinned people are not African. So what happened to all the dark-skinned people that were actually on the American continent from time immemorial? Why is that? Because we didn't sign the Dawes Roll. I know you say it's a governmental thing. So what do we do from there? Do we petition so that could be changed, or it is just something that's ironclad? You had to have been on the Dawes Rolls, whether you are an Aborigine or not, because like I said, it's scientifically proven that all the dark-skinned people were actually in the Americas before any light-skinned, pale, anybody, and the first people on the planet, to be quite frank, were dark-skinned. So that means everybody came from the womb of the dark-skinned woman, and that's scientifically proven. Isn't that a fact?
Well, I'm not really sure where you're trying to go with that.
No, what I'm asking
I'm not going to agree or disagree with you. I just know that my ancestors, which are Cherokee Indians, have been on this continent for thousands of years. And that my ancestors are not Africans. My ancestors are American Indians. And the people who are claiming that they are American Indians that are actually black, we don't buy into that. That's just not who we are. Personal opinion.
Okay.
I think a lot of African American people in this country have a lot of self-hatred. And so you guys want to be us because you don't want to be you. And so, we can't change who you are, and you can't change who we are.
Okay.
Our relationships with the United States are our relationships. Our treaties are our treaties.
So,
I said no.
This is the most appropriate question. Do you think that
black
every
people
black
originated in Africa, Indian people originated in the Americas, white people originated in Europe, and Asian people originated in Asia?
But all right, so here's my question. Do you think that every so-called black person is from Africa?
No, because there are some in Fiji, there are some in Melanesia, there are some in India.
Okay.
They're all over the place.
So what you're saying, you were saying that
I'm
they
talking
were
about the black people in the United States.
So here's what you're saying.
Black people in the United States came over on slave trips from Africa.
So what you're saying is that they from everywhere else on the planet except none of them was in America before slavery.
Nope, none of them. Well, some of them might have been. I don't know.
But come on, come on, brother. Come on.
Evolved.
It's either they were or they are not. Because you see, now you're being contradictory. Because if you're saying that so-called black people was on every other planet except America before the slave ship, you're saying that for some reason the sun didn't allow so-called black people to be in America before the slave trade. That alone in itself doesn't even make sense.
No, there were no black people here before Europeans got here because they brought you guys.
I would like to turn your attention to issues closer to home. There's a solid archaeological evidence that African sailors, more specifically the Phoenicians, came to the eastern shores of the U.S. over 50,000 years ago and coexisted with native peoples. Also, several tribes became involved in international trade on the high seas through the Phoenicians. And for some time, they've always had this story that, oh, the Phoenicians were white sailors. In fact, they were not. They were black ocean-going sea merchants that had established international trade on the high seas long before the white man came to the Western Hemisphere.
Talking about so-called black people from Africa, the Phoenicians came here over 50,000 years ago. Well, let's go into your theory. What does it say? According to most widely accepted, it's an accepted theory, Native Americans crossed over the Bering, how long? 23 to 15,000 years ago. Therefore, we're talking about over 25, 27 years before you supposedly came here with a theory. Phoenicians came here and they were dealing with natives. Well, who were these natives? It wasn't you because you wasn't here. You were not here. And that's coming from your own people. You feel me?
No, but guess what? Europeans didn't bring so-called dark-skinned people here. As a matter of fact, the first slaves on the American continent were Caucasians.
That's not even relevant.
No, it is relevant. It's absolutely relevant. It's absolutely relevant.
You know, my grandmother, who was a full-blood Cherokee Indian, was dark-skinned. And
Cherokee,
if she had permed her hair, she could have passed for a black person in North Tulsa, which is our black community here. So, yeah, there were dark-skinned people here, but not all dark-skinned people are black.
But guess what? In fact, nobody's black. Africans call themselves black. We didn't call ourselves black. We are brown-skinned. So I don't consider myself black.
You guys had your own names for each other. I know that because you had your own tribes and your own languages.
So but again, so now you are actually admitting that before slavery there were dark-skinned people here.
There were American Indian here who.
But I'm talking about in terms of complexion. There were dark-skinned people here. We know we are American Indians, but they were dark-skinned.
No, you all are not American Indian. We are.
But
you all are black people from Africa.
Stop playing the games and calling brown-skinned people black. Black is not a race. Colors, they belong in crayon boxes.
Yeah, all right? Know your tribe, bro. Know your tribe. If you knew your tribe,
I know my tribe. Hold on for a second. Let me just make my point real quick because I don't do debates. Check this out, right?
What's your tribe?
Everybody on here, okay? For me, I'm a Carib. I'm a Carib and I'm Anion. All right, now y'all always asking for receipts. I don't know about the rest of them, but I'm an American Indian. You see this right here? You want DNA proof? It's right here. Because y'all keep playing these games with my people and y'all got to stop playing these games. You want DNA proof? It's right here. You feel me?
So you're an American Indian?
I am an American Indian. You feel me? So, and my grandmother is actually alive and she's 94. And her mother was 96 and her grandmother was 106. And she told me who I was. Never heard of a slave story. Never heard of African stories. So y'all got to stop playing these games, calling people that look brown, calling them black, and playing these games.
We're calling you black. We're calling you African.
No, but I'm not African, though. You see, that's what I'm saying? Stop calling everybody that look like me African. I'm not African.
What tribe in Africa you come from?
Bro, you see, y'all keep playing these games. You feel me? I'm not into the whole concept about, oh, well, life originated in Africa. No, life originated right here in the Americas. You feel me? And hold on for a second. And you are a recessive gene.
Right, bro.
You are a recessive gene.
Complex,
therefore, you cannot produce.
You got a superiority complex, and I'm fucking so over it, and so is everybody else. Nobody wants to fucking bow down and kiss ass to y'all.
And once again, I'm just saying that, what, the truth will come out to light, and, the creator, what I'm saying, will bring everything to light and the truth will come out. Because the point I'm trying to make is you're telling me that every so-called black person, dark-skinned person was on the continent except America. And now you are telling me, well, some of them was here. Either they were or they are not. But then you're talking about black. I never said I was black. Black is a color that's really black. I'm not black. I'm brown. You see what I'm saying?
You're African.
We're calling you African. Tribe in Africa you come from.
No, you told me that.
No, I never said that. I asked you, do you think that all dark-skinned people
and
are from Africa?
all this line of stuff that you're telling me, we hear it all the time.
Okay, so I'm lying.
People with your views call us probably about once a month and
no. You know what? I'm calling, and like I said, that's why I said, I'm calling because it's for the record, because we have to make sure that again we get to the bottom of this, because I know I realize that there are so many different cultures that's here usurping, our identity. And then when we approach them, they tend to, again, evade the question and deal with it from more of an organizational perspective. Okay, well, you know what? This is what the United States said. We are the Indians. Oh, no, it's not what they say. It's what is. You know what I'm saying? But I totally get where you're coming from. It's an organizational thing. You don't have to be an Indian by blood to be part of the Cherokee, because the United States, hey, you know what? They're foreigners. They came here. They fought over, my ancestors. And when I say my ancestors, I'm talking about the dark-skinned people who was on this continent before even you guys came. And they had to put somebody in our place. And I guess it happened that way. But the truth will come out. That's all I'm just saying. And again, I appreciate your time. Thank you. You gave a lot of insight. And I got what I was looking for, so I appreciate that. And again, time will tell. Time will tell. All will come to light. So I hope you have a great day. And look out for us, because we are coming.